for 25 years. Your home for Minnesota Twins baseball.
Twins fans continue to file into Target Field tonight to watch a pressure-packed performance for the Cleveland Indians, who need a series sweep to ensure a wild card pass to the playoffs. Can the Twins take down the Tribe? Minnesota meets Cleveland on Fox Sports North. The way he's been hitting this month, Michael Brantley doesn't need batting practice, hitting .394 in September, second highest in baseball. He needs to stay hot for a Cleveland club that can't afford a loss. Pinto has made a lasting first impression. Twins call-up catcher leads American League rookies in hitting this month, hitting .333. Impressive indeed. Welcome to Twins baseball on Fox Sports North. Pinto impressive without question, not only behind the plate but in the batter's box. He has shown an ability in short time to hit in clutch situations, as he did last night with a home run in the ninth inning. What impresses you about this young man?
Well, there's quite a few things, Tommy. One, his ability to want to work behind the plate. We knew he could hit, and we heard that. But you look at the swings that he takes. This is a great swing, a great finish, and it just doesn't get much better than that. And you see the great turn, great power with that swing. Now, this is the impressive part. When the game's on the line, not just looking to pull the ball, but to be able to use the whole field and stay on top of the baseball against the closer-type guy, drive the ball down, and be able to win a game and use the whole field. Last night, we saw it again, only with a little more thunder as he hits a ball opposite field out of the ballpark here at Target Field. You're going to see these swings. Now the contact point, foot gets down, and the contact point goes farther back, a little deeper, but a great turn. And this shot is going to tell you, you see the turn, great swing, outstanding guy swinging the bat.
In short, the kid is a keeper. Pinto and the Twins produced an impressive ninth inning rally last night. Can they carry that momentum into tonight's test?
Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards.
It's a beautiful night for the final home game of the year. Corey Kluber leading a Cleveland starting staff that has turned it up a notch in the month of September. That's why the Indians are on the verge of clinching a playoff spot. Pedro Hernandez hoping to win a spot for the Twins on next year's team in the starting rotation, making his final start of the year. And we welcome you to Target Field. Dick and Bert with you for game 2 of this 4-game series. And Corey Kluber and Justin Masterson when he was healthy, Ubaldo Jimenez, everybody has stepped it up for the Cleveland Indians, and they have emerged as a very viable playoff contender.
Yeah, Corey Kluber, one of those pitchers that was on a disabled list, and when Masterson went down, Kluber was brought back into that starting rotation, and over his last 9 starts, he's been very good. But in the month of September, 4 starts, 3-0. He's making his 4th start this year. Kluber is a strikeout pitcher.
That's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
Zach McAllister and the 16-man Cleveland bullpen held the Twins in check until the 9th inning. And a nice comeback for the Twins in the 9th, and the question is, can they somehow carry it forward to tonight?
Yeah, Twins were down 6-1 going into the bottom of the 9th inning against their closer, Chris Perez, but he has been struggling as of late. The big blow off the bat of Pinto right there, a 2-run home run. Twins tried to come back like they did against the Tigers in Game 1, but just fell 1 run short.
Well, the onus will fall on tonight's starting pitcher for the Twins, Pedro Hernandez. See if he can put up a few zeros early in the ballgame in Game 2. homestand for the Twins started with a dramatic walk-off win. Since then, 3 straight losses by a total of 4 runs. And, of course, none of that matters because the Twins are in the business of winning games, and they want to win 2 more to get Ron Gardenhire to the 1,000 win mark. Terry Francona starting his tenure. He passed the 1,000 win mark as a manager for the Boston Red Sox. And in his first year with the Indians, he has them in the driver's seat for a playoff spot as a wild card entrant. The Menards batting order for the Indians in game 2. Michael Brantley's been swinging a hot stick. He's leading off. Nick Swisher batting second. Jason Kipnis, Carlos Santana, the designated hitter. Ryan Rayburn, Asdrubal Cabrera, Yan Gomes, Mike Aviles, and Drew Stubbs.
And left-handed pitcher Pedro Hernandez on the mound here tonight for the Twins, making his 12th start, his 3rd against the Indians. He's 1-0 this year. He defeated the Indians here on June 23rd, in Cleveland, 5-3. The other start was here.
The Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Darren Mastroianni in left, Alex Presley in center, Ryan Dolan in right, Trevor Plouffe, Pedro Florimon, Brian Dozier, Chris Parmalee at first base, and again tonight, Osmeal Pinto behind the plate. And before the first pitch, we'll bring you tonight's Cold Hard Fact, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Michael Brantley, yes, he has been swinging a hot stick. 4 straight games with 3 hits and a run batted in.
And currently on a 10-game hitting streak where he has 20 hits in his last 40 at-bats, a couple home runs, and he's driven in 10 runs. So Michael Bourne's still not active. You know, he still has that little bit of wrist injury, so it's Michael Brantley that gets the opportunity to lead off here for Terry Francona.
Twin Cities area got a few sprinkles of rain this morning, early afternoon. The rain has stopped. It's very warm and muggy. And a cold front's going to move through tonight, and we might have some rain tomorrow, but we don't expect any precipitation tonight. Hernandez ready, Brantley in the box, and there is strike 1.
Hernandez, just 24 years old, a fastball 91 to 93 tops, a slider, very good changeup, and a slow curveball.
And a liner hit right at Dozier. Might have knuckled his way out there, but Dozier with the catch, 1 away. And that'll bring up Swisher. You know, we've talked about the starters not pulling their weight in the rotation this year, and many times it's been in the first few innings. Andrew Albers in the game yesterday didn't have the type of start he wanted. Gave up 3 runs in 1 inning. Scott Diamond's been victimized by the big inning this year in the middle innings.
Yeah, the opponent have outscored the Twins in the first inning 114 to 65.
Both numbers are a bit disturbing. Giving up that many and not scoring that many yourself. Check swing and a strike, 1-1. I suppose a player can sense when he is beginning to run out of chances. Whether you're a hitter or a pitcher, you must have some sense that, you know, I need to start picking it up here or they'll be turning in another direction. And in Hernandez's case, I'm not saying he's there yet. He's still very young. But he really hasn't shown the Twins much at this level. Here's a drive to left center field. Mastroianni over to the gap, and he can't make the catch. Swisher will have a double, and Mastroianni still lying in the grass in left center. It's a 1-out double.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Dick. You know, for Hernandez, over his last 3 starts, 0-1 with an ERA over 9. So he has been struggling. Fastball in, and Swisher, a good hitter as both his sides, but 290 as a right-handed hitter. Mastroianni diving for the ball, comes up short, and it's Presley, the center fielder, that has to retrieve the ball, and for Swisher, his 26th double of the year.
Jason Kipnis, the batter, he had a 2-out double in the first inning last night, but didn't score.
Well, here's a guy that has enjoyed hitting against Twins pitching. We mentioned it last night, hitting over 400 this year.
Inside, and 21 of his 81 runs batted in at the expense of Twins pitching.
1-0. And missing inside 2-0. For Hernandez, it hasn't just been lack of effective innings, just generally a lack of innings as the Twins move forward in 2014 and beyond.
He's averaged less than 5 innings an outing.
All back 2-1.
For Kipnis against the Twins this year. 4 home runs hit against the Twins, 4 of his 17. And you can see the .403 batting average and 12 extra base hits.
2-1 from Hernandez. And a drive to right center. It'll be another run batted in for Kipnis. And another extra base hit. Swisher scores with ease. Kipnis rounding second. He's on his way to third. And he's got a triple. So a line out to Dozier and a pair of extra base hits here in the first inning.
Well, Kipnis with his 4th triple of the year. Again, location, and not an overpowering fastball, no movement. And Kipnis just went down and hit it right in that gap in right center. By the time Presley has to retrieve this one, so he's got his running in here already here in the first inning. Kipnis at third, driving in his 82nd run of the year.
Twins will bring the infield in here in the Santana at bat. With Kipnis at third and 1 away. Breaking ball blocked nicely by Pinto. He blocked about 15 pitches, it seemed, last night. Hernandez spinning a breaking ball in the dirt. Twins throughout this homestand, granted the road trip was a wash. It was an awful road trip, and the Twins were, the word I've used is bludgeoned. You don't have a problem with that word, do you?
No, not at all.
But on the homestand, they've shown some ability to score late in games. It's only been enough once, but that again goes back to the premise that the starting pitcher needs to try to stay away from crooked numbers. Outside 2-1.
Santana, like Swisher, a switch hitter, 3 switch hitters in the lineup. And you can see that Hernandez has allowed 9 home runs in his 9 runs in his first inning. You know, he might give up 3-1 and then go from there.
Another one hit to the gap.
That's tough.
And it's another extra base hit. Santana digging for second. And the Indians go line out, double, triple, double here in the first inning. That'll bring up Ryan Rayburn.
Well, Santana picking up his 71st RBI on his 37th triple. And just again hitting the gap. And again, Alex Presley is on his horse. He might need a horse. And Rick Anderson out to talk to his left-hander.
An early quick trip to the mound by the Twins pitching coach on an early 2-0 lead for Cleveland. Ryan Rayburn, the batter. Toronto has a 4-2 lead in the middle part of the game at the Rogers Center, and that's good news for the Indians, who still have designs on not only winning a wild card spot but potentially having home field advantage. Tying the Rays.
That's $1.
No, that's okay. Tying the Rays won't get it done. They need to finish ahead of the Rays because Tampa Bay won the season series, and that's the first tiebreaker. You can see Toronto with a 4-2 lead. And Los Angeles and Texas just underway, bottom of the first, no score. Back. Interesting news today in a game that certainly impacts the Indians far more than the Twins. But the Rangers have moved up what was supposed to be a night game tomorrow, 7 o'clock in Arlington, to 11 in the morning tomorrow because of the threat of bad weather in the Arlington, Texas area. 2 strikes to Rayburn.
It'll be an hour before the game starts here tomorrow.
Which again will allow now, depending on what happens tonight, of course, but it would allow the Indians perhaps to experience what the A's experienced Sunday in their game against the Twins, where they may clinch a playoff spot while they're still playing a game inside 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's Cleveland Indian Ball Club playing very good baseball in September. 18-6 in September. They've won 7 in a row. They've done a very good job this year against left-handed pitchers. As a ball club, they're hitting .270. Against right-handers, they're hitting .246.
1 and 2. 2 and 2.
And Rayburn hitting .314 against lefties. Only .244 against righties.
Pinto to the mound now. As Hernandez was looking into the sign, he might have been muttering to himself, but he was verbalizing something, and maybe that's what Pinto wanted to go out to the mound to find out, whether he had something to communicate or not. Ron Gardenhire saw Pinto go out to the mound too many times with Andrew Albers on the mound last night. 2 and 2. Full count. 19 pitches already, and only 1 out.
Well, coming into the ball game, 55 innings in 11 starts, 13 appearances for Hernandez. He's given up 73 hits, 37 runs. The ERA over 6.
And a called third strike. 2 down. Rayburn obviously looking for something other than a 88-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle of the plate.
And that's where it was, right there.
Okay.
So Hernandez picks up a strikeout, the second out of the inning.
And that'll bring up Cabrera. It's a deflating way to start the game, but the Twins have gone through this many times before. And you can, I think, head back into the dugout still feeling like you're in the game down 2-0, but there's still one more big out to get, and it's Cabrera. On the outside corner with an 88-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, Cabrera in his 7th season with the Indians came into the season a .280 career hitter, hitting at only .240. Hitting .226 as a right-handed hitter.
Breaking ball up and away. You look at Hernandez's start, and the best one was a game in Houston. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. But the Astros aren't known as a great hitting ball club. In fact, just the opposite. Right center and deep. Presley off the wall. Another extra base hit. Another Cleveland run. And the Indians are filling the gaps with 4 extra base hits here in the first inning.
An RBI double by Cabrera, picking up his 64th run driven in and his 34th double. Too many balls right down the heart of the plate, and Cabrera getting good wood on it. And again, Presley on his horse. Has to play the ricochet off the wall.
Four extra base hits and a 3-0 early lead. Here's Yan Gomes. Earlier this year, when Ron Gardenhire was talking about one of the challenges in having Joe Mauer hitting second, he said, well, you know, it does change things for Joe. In an inning like this, you got to come in from the field, and you got to quickly take all your gear off and head out to the on-deck circle, something he's not used to. We might have an extended break here for Presley, who's got to lead off the bottom of the inning if we ever get there.
Well, Gomes had a big 2-run home run in last night's ball game. 3 hits and 4 at-bats.
Breaking ball missing, 2-0.
And Gomes hitting .320 against left-handed pitching this year. And that's what's really been Hernandez's downfall, is right-handers came into this ball game hitting .345 off of them, and all 10 home runs that he has given up have been to right-handed hitters. Left-handers hitting .259. And he's all over the place. 26 pitches, 13 strikes. Hernandez coming over from Chicago with Escobar in the Francisco Liriano trade.
Right field, and Doman plays it on a hop. And the throw all the way through to Pinto, and it's a 4-0 lead for the Indians. With 2 outs, of course, Cabrera off with the crack of the bat. Gomes drops a single.
Gomes picking up an RBI here, his 37th. Breaking ball didn't just kind of spun right there, and Doman got a bad break and gets the ball back in, throws home, but Gomes stays at first. Cabrera scores the 4th run of the inning.
Not just when Hernandez is on the mound, but far too often when the Twin starter has gone on the mound. There just aren't any, sometimes not many, but oftentimes not any swings and misses. Hernandez has a strikeout, and it was on a pitch right down the middle that Rayburn locked up on.
Well, Dick, you know, the whole staff is not a strikeout staff. I mean, actually, the relievers have more strikeouts out of the bullpen than the starters do. They pitched about 300 less innings.
1 strike to the 8th batter of the inning. Popped up. Parmalee in foul ground. Ends the inning. And Alex Presley has enough energy left to run in from center field. Frustrated Ron Gardenhire, still stuck at 998 wins. The chances here, tonight's game, and then 2 more. He'd like to get to that milestone is Menard's batting order. Well, game 2, Alex Presley, Brian Dozier, Ryan Doman, Oswaldo Arcias, Osmio Pinto, Trevor Plouffe, Chris Parmalee, Darren Mascherani, and Pedro Florimon.
And Corey Kluber on the mound looking for his 11th win of the year. 10-5, 3.61 ERA. This is his 4th start against the Twins this season. He's 1-1 with a 3.31 ERA. 7th career start against the Twins, 3rd here at Target Field. Kluber spent some time on a disabled list at sprained right middle finger. Activated first part of September when Masterson went down with an oblique strain. And Kluber's done a good job over his last 4 starts, 3-0 for the Indians. As we mentioned in the open, the starters have stepped it up a little bit for the Indians. Good pitching staff.
Presley, Dozier, and Doman in the first. Up and away, ball 1. Kluber accustomed to some early run support against the Twins. He made the start in Cleveland back in late June. P.J. Walters lasted only a third of an inning. Twins made a game of that one too. This one sliced toward the guy, but retreating Brantley in the first out. Now Kluber has an early 4-0 lead. Northland Ford defense for the Indians. Michael Brantley, Drew Stubbs, Ryan Rayburn, Mike Aviles, Struble Cabrera, Jason Kipnis, Nick Swisher, and Yan Gomes behind the plate.
Yeah, Kluber has picked up some strikeouts against the Twins, 16 in the 16 innings he has pitched. And on the season, 131 strikeouts and 142 innings pitched with 32 walks.
Outside ball 1 to Brian Dozier. Dozier in an interview the other day was highly critical of himself for all the strikeouts he's had this year, over 100. Popped up right side. And Swisher or Kipnis. It's Kipnis 2 away. But you tend not to notice Dozier's strikeouts because of the production that he's provided. The home runs and the doubles, and the batting average is just in the mid 200s, but there's a little pop in his bat, and you're going to have some strikeouts when you have the ability to hit home runs. Here's Doman. So as the Twins try to cut down on the number of strikeouts, there are other targeted players other than Brian Dozier. Strike over the inside corner. Kluber with 2 outs, and he's already thrown his first pitch to Doman, his 5th of the inning. 1-1.
Kluber with a good fastball, very hard slider. He'll mix in a curveball and a changeup.
Swing and a miss.
That's a good changeup there. Good spot, down and away at 87. Kluber, 27 years old. Played his college ball out of Stetson University, down in Florida.
They're still called the Hatters. Stetson Hatters. 1-2. Jones trying to walk it off. Toronto's opened up a 6-2 lead over the Rays, now teeing off on Jeremy Hellickson in the 5th inning. Up and away, 2-2.
Bowman still looking for that 100th home run in his career. That's not going to get there.
Herrera to his left, fires to first, close play. Bowman retired, and Kluber has a 1-2-3 first inning. the field, but you've got to give them props for the way they've handled the theatrics surrounding Mariano Rivera. What a wonderful, emotional moment last night. Derek Jeter and Andy Pettitte relieving Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, all three of those guys joined the Yankees back in 1995, and they have won World Series. They've done a lot together, and a future Hall of Famer Rivera calling it quits.
Ball one. Drew Stubbs, Michael Brantley, Nick Swisher in the second inning. Pedro Hernandez has dug himself a big 4-0 hole. In the dirt, 2-0. 31 pitches for Hernandez, 16 strikes, and 5 of those have been hit for hits. Two and one. I think what we've been reminded of again, Bert, this year as we've watched pitchers like Hernandez come up, and even Scott Diamond, although Diamond had the success of last year to reflect on. P.J. Walters, when he's come up, a leadoff walk. There's a big difference between AAA and the major leagues when it comes to getting hitters out.
Take a look at Mo's final numbers, his career all-time in saves.
That bottom one is just amazing, too.
Yeah, unbelievable.
652 saves, and you can enter that in the category of records likely to be never broken. The leadoff walk, Brantley lined out to Dozier his first time up. He's hit. And Stubbs will around second, go to third. Mastroianni's throw over the cutoff man, but Brantley will hold it first.
And that's what one thing they say in Cleveland about Brantley, you know, 21 hits now in his last 42 at-bats, is he's not trying to pull everything. Last night, a couple base hits the other way. This one here, a high fastball, just waits back nicely, hits it softly into left field. And Stubbs, with his speed, does not slow down rounding second base.
So as bad as the first inning was, now in the second, a leadoff walk and a base hit. Nick Swisher started the 4-run first with a double. Twins infield playing back. They need outs. They'll give up another run at this point. Outside, ball one. Now you skipped AAA, right? You were called up.
No, I was in AAA.
You were in AAA.
I skipped double A.
You skipped double A. And 7th and 8th grade.
Yes.
But what was,
but the 3 years my senior year in high school were the best I can remember.
1-0.
Well, you know what? I came out. I mean, I wasn't overpowering. I wasn't like Nolan Ryan, but I was very aggressive, and I could work both sides of the plate. See Martis starting to loosen up in the Twins bullpen, but I don't know, it's sad to say this starting staff has just struggled all year. We showed you at the top of the show, 5.20 combined earned run average. Starters have averaged 5 1/3 innings.
Capper up the line, foul. Different era. This, we're talking 1970 for you, and here we are more than 40 years later. But there seems to be a tremendous difference in getting hitters out in AAA and getting them out up here.
Well, I think in the minor leagues, if you have a pretty good breaking ball, which I mean Hernandez does. You got not bad control. Albers same way. You can, on a 3-1 pitch, you get that over, you're going to freeze them. Up here, these hitters can hit that 3-1 breaking ball. They're not just sitting on the fastball. And you have to hit your spots. You have to work ahead of the count.
3-1 to Swisher.
Swisher has to look away right here. Hopefully get a pitch to drive somewhere. The throw over. Saw Pinto sitting inside, but I did talk to Terry Steinbach today about what we talked about last night about Pinto moving around a lot. And Terry said that's one thing that they don't want to cram him with so much information, that they want him to stay a little more still behind the plate, show a little more of that glove, but it's taking time.
3-1. Wrap to third, and they'll go around the horn and get a double play and give up another run. 5-0. Stubbs comes in, no run batted in for Swisher, but the Indians make it a 5-0 ball game.
Here's a graphic that we were talking about at the I like a chart, record right there. Starters 39-71, 5.20 combined earned run average. And then you look at the strikeouts. I mean, the bullpen again has struck out more than the starting staff has in almost 300 innings difference.
Strike one to Jason Kipnis. Drove in a run with a triple his first time up. The cliche says, well, something is like putting earrings on a pig, and it's kind of a coarse way to put it, but the rocket to right field, a base hit. You can have the best bullpen in the world, but if you don't have starting pitching, it's like putting earrings on a pig.
Well, Dick, I think your Twins record show that 66-93 coming into this game.
Well, Ron Gardenhire with technically an inning and 2/3 put in by Hernandez, but he only retired 4 batters, and he faced 12 of them.
Well, that's 2 outings in a row. In his last start in Oakland, he went 2 innings and gave up 6 runs. Here he's pitched an inning and 2/3, and he's given up 5 runs.
And a frustrated Pedro Hernandez, and Sharon Martis will come in next. Patting him on the shoulder. Ron Coomer, Hernandez with an early exit, and it looked from up here that a lot of his pitches were belt high right over the middle of the plate.
Well, you're right, and what I see from down here is basically the same thing what you guys are seeing. And we've talked about all year long about the successful pitchers of pitching with tilt and pitching with pitches going downhill. And to me, the one thing that we saw today is a lot of pitches where the arms underneath, the ball's driving up high, and you just don't, it's tough to get good hitters out. And you're talking on an Indians team that's locked in right now trying to go to the playoffs.
Well, the intensity level is there for the Indians. You expect it also for the Twins because they want to be a spoiler, but it all goes to starting pitching. You leave pitches up, all of a sudden now, the Twins are on the defense again. Well, Martis coming in, making his 6th appearance since being recalled from AAA Rochester.
all the way. Well, let's take a step back though and take a look at what this is, what the Twins have out there. 10 players involved in the game, now 11 with Martis, and there's one player who has spent a full season in the big leagues, and that's Ryan Doman. Everywhere else you look, Hernandez as the starter, Martis relieving, all the other position players. Trevor Plouffe had a rehab assignment last year, so it's a bit of a tough call there. But these are, for the most part, all guys who are in the big leagues for the first time. One strike to Santana. And now 2.
Well, Dick, but that's no excuse. I mean, these guys are here, trying to make a name for themselves. And, Presley's done a pretty good job, but I'm going to go back to the pitching. There's a lot of guys like Hernandez that's trying to make a name for themselves. Albers struggled last night. Liam Hendricks, Cole DeVries. They've got to improve on that if they want to get back into the Central Division.
Well, I'm of the belief that the Twins are going to be contending sooner rather than later. I do believe that. I think that the farm system has some very good products that are soon to be up here. But if that is the case, there are going to be a whole bunch of players who are going to look at this season as a missed opportunity. This RC is going to be a part of the Twins' hope of a successful team, but there are going to be a lot of players who are going to be kicking themselves for not taking advantage of the opportunity this organization gave them this year. Colabello is one of them.
Colabello, he was the International Player of the Year. He had 24 home runs, hit 354. Chris Parmelee, another one.
So there should
go on and on.
There should be a sense of urgency for those players, because as we talked about in relation to Hernandez, the ball grounded foul. A player must sense that, I need to turn a corner here pretty soon or I'm going to get passed by. And I don't think that the general manager of the Twins, Terry Ryan, is going to be too interested in repeating in 2014 what he's seen in 2013.
Well, we saw a lot of it in 2011 and 12, Dick. You need pitching. You need pitching. You need a couple horses in that starting rotation.
One and two.
Well, throwovers to first base. Kipnis with 29 stolen bases on the year. I'm sure he'd like to get number 30.
Change up and it's fouled back.
Martis pretty quick home. He doesn't bring that knee all the way up to his belt. He'll utilize that slide step. Martis down in AAA. Worked 80 in the third innings. Gave up only 68 hits. 2 wins, 4 losses in 3 starts, 42 appearances. Mainly used out of that bullpen for the Rochester Ball Club.
Hook foul.
Martis is a guy that has some major league experience. In 2008 and 9, he was with the Washington Nationals. He made 19 major league starts in those 2 years, 6 major league wins, 6 losses. He pitched a couple times in that Oakland series, and I know nobody pitched well, but he did give up 4 runs in 3 2/3 innings, 3 home runs.
And he's greeted with an extra base hit off the bat of Santana. Kipnis to third. They're going to put up the late stop sign.
Tell you what, Brad Mills at the last second put up his hands. That's what you want that runner to do, Kipnis, to pick up that third base coach like Brad Mills, and then he was about a third of the way home. Mills put up that arm, and you can see that ball tommyhawked into that corner. Doman has to go retrieve it. And Kipnis right there picked up Mills and then went back to third, and a good throw home. I think he would have been out at home.
See, and that's a great play by Brad Mills. If you notice, guys, where he's at, way down the third base line to make that call. So then you can kind of see the whole field from where he's at. And that's where you got to be as a third base coach. You got to be way down the third base line, and that gives you a chance.
And you want Kipnis to run through it in case there's a fumble or something, right, in the relay throw to keep going. But Brad Mills held him up. He did the right thing.
Goom, don't get any ideas on that for the fantasy camp this winter.
No, the arms just go up. If it's a base at a time, that's okay.
Right. You try to put up a late stop sign like that in the fantasy camp, their body parts all over the field.
Yeah.
2 strikes to Rayburn. Rayburn, for some reason, took a called third strike for the second out of the first inning. And what looked to be, this might be a bit of an exaggeration, he took the most hittable pitch Hernandez threw in the first inning, right down the middle.
That froze him.
1-2. Base hit, and it'll score 2. So Rayburn wasn't about to strike out again, and Indians have backed up a 4-run first with so far a 3-run second.
Well, we saw Hernandez struggle with his control, and Martis right now left a fastball up to Santana that he tommy-hawked into the corner, and you see that breaking ball that kind of broke, but it broke right down the heart of the plate, and then Rayburn taking it right back up the middle, driving in a couple runs now with 55 RBIs on the year, and it's a 7-0 lead.
8 men batted in the first inning. This will be the 7th man to bat in the second. Cabrera with an RBI double and a run scored last inning. Over the inside corner. Texas leading the Angels 1-0 going to the 3rd inning. Fly to left. Retreating as Mastroianni on the track makes the catch. 4 in the first, 3 more in the second, and the Indians have a 7-0 lead.
Cleveland Indians. Well, the AL wildcard race is so tight between Cleveland, Texas, and Tampa Bay that it is very possible we could have a three-way tie for those two wildcard spots. Today, Major League Baseball laid out the plans for a tiebreaker scenario. If all three of those teams are tied after Sunday's games, the Indians would host the Rays on Monday. The winner of that game would be a wild card, and the losing team would then go to Texas to play the Rangers on Tuesday. The winner of that game then would be the second wild card team. So a playoff to get into that one-game wild card playoff. It is a crazy situation that we could very well see happen on Sunday, guys.
How'd you like to be the traveling secretary? Thank you, Jamie. Indians are in town here in a critically important series for them, and they don't know whether they're going to go back to Cleveland and the season's over with, whether they will have won a wild card spot and they'll go to Boston, or no, they'll go to Tampa. The bat sails over the camera well outside the Twins dugout, and Arcia threw the bat over 100 feet. That's impressive.
That's a Tony Oliva toss right there. You can see the bat slipping out of his hand, and Tony could do that.
That's hard to do, guys.
Thank goodness everybody looks like they're okay.
And as they are instructed to do, the ushers take the bat, and something will be of commensurate value will be returned to the fan who had the bat. 2-2. Arcia had a pinch hitting appearance, made the final out of the game, struck out to end the Twins comeback, a run or a hit short. 2-2.
Kluber doing what you do with a big lead. You throw strikes, you attack.
Anyway, the Indians don't know where they're going to go after Sunday's game. Right now they don't. They may go home. They may go to Tampa. Could go to Texas. They might be playing when they get home. But they do control their own destiny. And they are handling that control enviably, admirably. 7 early runs. And if they keep winning here in Minnesota, it doesn't matter a lick what happens in Arlington, Texas.
And that's the way the players, talk. Drew Stubbs last night told Jamie, that's, we have to take care of business. We take care of our own business, everything else will work out.
Texas and Los Angeles tied at 1 now in the third. It's still 6-2 Toronto over Tampa Bay, bottom of the 7th. And Arcia tied up, a strikeout, 1 away.
Kluber picking up his first strikeout. Pinto in last night's ballgame, a big 2-run home run in the 4-run bottom of the 9th inning. His 4th home run. And Dick, I think what's really impressed me about this young guy is that home runs have come late. Major league home run, they've also all come against right-handed pitchers. First home run came in a 9th inning against Toronto here, and then the Tampa Bay home run, Ron Coomer, and then, the 3-run home run, the game winner against the Rays here. And then last night in the 9th inning, another multi-home run as far as knocking in another run, 2 runs.
Yeah, and his swing is very good. It's compact and short from where he starts his hands to the hitting zone, but then his finish is where his power comes from. We talked about it a little bit in the open, and you see the turn that he got even last night on the home run that he hit. What you try to do, especially when you're driving the baseball, is get your back shoulder. If you can get your back shoulder almost going towards the second baseman as a right-handed hitter, that means you get a full turn just like that one.
Yeah. Sharply to the gap in right center. And Pinto gets the first Twins hit.
I'll tell you what, Ron, when you were talking about the back shoulder, I was watching his back shoulder, and he went right into that pitch. Look at that right there.
You see his back shoulder finish all the way to the second baseman, and that's a powerful swing. And a swing that doesn't stop, it doesn't shut down. And that's just a great swing and a line drive. And this is from right next to me. Great camera work right next to me, I'll tell you, boy. It's just phenomenal.
What's impressive to me, who's somebody who barely knows which end of the bat to grab, you know, how many times have we seen hitters swing through a slider down and away? And Pinto not only makes contact, or instead of swinging and missing, tapping it to the shortstop on 2 hops. Pinto drove that ball to right center, just what you're supposed to do with a pitch breaking away from you.
Well, what you're trying to do is if you can pick the pitch up early enough and you know the location where it's going, or if you just dial in on trying to stay to right center and then look to adjust the pull like that ball. You know, Trevor looking to hit the ball the other way on that swing.
Yeah, we've seen more and more of that from Plouffe as well here in the last month, 6 weeks.
Yeah, Trevor hitting over 300 in the month of September, and a lot of his hits are exactly like this. Just taking that pitch the other way into right field. So 2 straight singles. That ball came back into that about belt high, but Trevor, see his shoulder go all the way through too.
Yeah, another strong hitter, but what you want to do is make sure you get a full turn and still keep your head on the baseball at the contact point. And both of those hits go the other way, but both guys, their head stays at contact, but they get a complete turn, and that's why you drive the baseball.
Here's Parmalee. Strike. Twins down by plenty. They need to take advantage of opportunities like this when they arrive. 1 out, 2 men on. Inside 1-1.
Well, for Parmalee, over his last 4 games played, 6 hits and 17 at bats.
Two and one. Kluber handed an early 7-0 lead, but he was in the dugout and watched Zach McAllister get taken out in the 5th inning when the Twins started rallying. He doesn't want anything to mushroom like that against him here today, and it won't, because there's a ground ball or a double play. Couple of hits. Parmalee grounds into an inning-ending double play, and it's still 7-0. Few zeros up there. You can vote for the Arby's value player of the game. Text the word value followed by a space And the player's name to short code 234234.
Yeah, Martis has an opportunity here to hopefully pitch 3 or 4 good innings. Stretch it out a little, put some zeros on the board. First 2 batters he faced, Santana a double, and then Rayburn's 2-run single, but then he's able to get Cabrera to end the inning, the second inning.
Gomes, Aviles, and Stubbs, and Pinto asking for time. Breaking ball over, strike 1. Ball to center, and Presley jogs in. And makes a catch, 1 away. Set your compass due north Thursday nights on Fox Sports North. You can join host Bill Shirk and Laura Schara as they take a look at the stories and adventures of outdoor enthusiasts in the upper Midwest. Due North Outdoors Thursdays at 5:30 only on Fox Sports North. Driving around the Twin Cities, or some leaves starting to turn, even fall off the trees already. It won't be long. And hunting season, and some hunting seasons have already started. And the ice will be on the Minnesota's 10,000 lakes. You shivered over there. I looked over. You just, it's 77 degrees right now, and you shivered.
You said ice on the lakes, and my body just shivered.
1 and 2. Check swing foul. 1 and 2 to Aviles. He'll be followed by Stubbs. Now, whatever your wintertime pursuits will be, I think you can rest assured the Twins organization is going to be very busy. I suspect this is going to be a very busy offseason. Two and 2. Another fly ball to center. It'll carry out to Presley again.
It's nice to see Presley this inning just jog after fly balls rather than what he had to do in the first and second.
Actually caught a couple of fly balls instead of chasing them off the fence. Reading some background information on the Tigers. They're apparently going to have Johnny Peralta out in left field this weekend.
Hey, he was in the lineup today.
Yep, in left field down in Miami. And somebody asked Jim Leland about it. He says, well, when he was a shortstop, he was always pretty good at catching pop-ups. We're just going to ask him to catch deeper pop-ups. So when you look at it that way, it shouldn't be that much of a transition, right?
No.
2-0. And then they asked him about, well, positioning. You know, it's going to have an infielder out in left field. And he says, well, it'll be easy. We'll watch him from the dugout. We'll say, stand here for that guy. Stand over there for that guy. If he hits it, go chase it. Blue scoops up the ball to his left. Close play, just barely getting Drew Stubbs. He beat out a hit last night. We almost got another one here. A 1-2-3 third for Martis. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. 7-0 Cleveland. At least the Twins are supposed to be playing the Indians. It kind of looks like they're playing the Oakland A's again. Ortiz did his part in his first full inning of work. He had a 1-2-3 third. Mastroianni, Florimon, and Presley in the third inning for the Twins. Over the inside corner, strike one. Mastroianni, chance to play in left field. Josh Willingham not playing much in left. When he does get action, it's as a designated hitter. And Arcia doing that today. 1-1. Half swing. Appeal. Strike two. Former Cleveland manager Eric Wedge notified the Mariners he's not coming back. He will manage the rest of the weekend here. Mastroianni strikes out, one down.
And Kluber picks up his second strikeout.
And so we will do an AT&T Twitter poll, and you won't notice Eric Wedge's name on here because he's got 4 candidates listed here that might all be headed to the postseason. The AT&T Twitter poll, use the appropriate hashtag. Florimon, the batter. Wedge used to manage the Indians, and then they let him go. And Manny Acta had the job for a while, and then Terry Francona replaced Acta after the season last year. And I would imagine that would mean the Mariners would then find a new pitching coach. Former Twin Carl Willis, been there for the last several years. Florimon retired, one down. And Ron Coomer, you played for Terry Francona in the minor leagues, and of course he's had great success running a clubhouse in the big leagues. I would imagine he ran a pretty fun clubhouse in the minor leagues.
He definitely did. And you know, fun was one thing, but it's also, as you guys were talking about earlier, it's a lot of fun when you win. You know, and the one thing that Terry brought to the table day in and day out is we had a great time in the locker room, before the game, after the game, during your BP work, but also, you know, there's that little bit of edge of intensity come game time that you got to have. And he brought that, obviously, that winning way to Boston, where they hadn't won in forever and win 2 World Series. And now immediately he brings that to Cleveland with a couple key pickups in the offseason. And now they're going to be headed to postseason.
Grounded foul. I enjoyed your interview with Terry Francona. Particularly, I thought interesting Terry saying that toward the end of his time in Boston, he felt like the pressure really got to him, and he needed a little time away. He got into TV work last year, and now is back managing a contending ball club.
Yeah, he said he really, you know, he did. He said he needed some time away from the game, and especially in that city, in the pressures of managing in Boston. He said he really enjoyed his time, you know, as a broadcaster last year. Outside of wearing suits, he thought it was great. But you know, you got that 1 year of just kind of clearing your head a little bit and kind of regrouping, and now, you know, he looks like he's going back to October, but he has a lot of fun with the game, and so does his staff.
He grew up,
Mills,
yeah, he grew up as a baseball groupie through his dad.
Yeah.
Born in Aberdeen, South Dakota, when his dad was playing for Aberdeen.
Kipnis a RBI triple that scored Swisher, who had doubled the second batter of the ball game, then an RBI double by Santana, and then a batter later, or two batters later, Cabrera with the RBI double. 4 runs in the first inning on 5 hits, 4 of those extra base hits. Gave the Indians an early lead, and they added 3 more in the second.
Michael Brantley against Martis. Over for a strike. Brantley, Swisher, and Kipnis in the 4th for Cleveland. Off the end of the bat, a foul, 2 strikes. Texas leading the Angels 2-1, bottom of the 3rd. They still have the bases loaded with 1 out. The magic number for the Indians is 3. 2 of those can be taken care of here tonight if the Indians win. And if the Angels beat the Rangers, then the magic number would be 1 tomorrow. And we mentioned that the Texas game has been moved up to 11 in the morning, something that I guess a few years ago they did it for a hurricane, but just for a thunderstorm or a rain shower, I've never heard of such a thing. And they moved that game to 11 o'clock. It'll start an hour before the Indian game. So if the magic number were reduced to 1, the Indians would have 2 shots at it tomorrow. Busted bat and a bouncer to second. Their own game and the Texas game that now should finish before their game. If you're looking for something extra special to take home from the ballpark, check out the kiosk at the ballpark that has a vast array of game-used merchandise, from bats to balls to jerseys. Check it out between gates 29 and 34 out in right field. Next time you're at a ball game, stop by and find something unique. Get tickets by calling 800-33-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com. That'll bring up Swisher. Swisher with a double and a run scored. And as a right-handed batter, he had a ground ball to Plouffe, who started a double play, and on the double play, the 5th Cleveland run scored. Outside, 2-1. Busted another bat, a slower roller to second, 2 down.
A couple good changeups down and away, and Brantley and Swisher ground out to second.
The standings going into play today. Tampa Bay now on the top of the 8th, threatening, but they're down 6-2, and then the Rangers a game behind Cleveland. You ever heard of that? Where a game the day before, the start time was moved to avoid as best as they can a rain situation.
They must anticipate a big storm coming through.
I think it probably speaks to the magnitude of the game, but also the improved technology. I mean, now they forecasts within 24 hours are generally pretty accurate. 1-1.
Well, 6 in a row retired by Martis.
Another ground ball, this to Parmelee. And another 1-2-3 inning for Sharon Martis. Force North is presented by McDonald's. Right now, you can get 20 crispy chicken McNuggets for just $4.99 at McDonald's. And by Toyota. Let's go places. To find the nearest Toyota dealer and check out our current offers, visit buyatoyota.com.
4 in the first, 3 in the second. The Indians hope they're on their way to reducing their magic number by at least one more tonight. We'll see fans of the game enjoying a comfortable Friday night at the ballpark. Twins in the 4th inning will send up Brian Dozier, Ryan Domit, and Oswaldo Arcia.
Corey Kluber, first 3 innings, 36 pitches, 24 strikes, 3 strikeouts, no walks, giving up a couple singles.
1-0 to Dozier. Popped up to second his first time up. That was right at the belt, but called ball 2. Kluber, and for that matter last night starter Zach McAllister, have all had that middle finger issue where there's a tendon that gets inflamed in the middle finger. They say it's from throwing the baseball and throwing it hard. And the Indians have had a run of pitchers who've had that problem. But all the years that you threw, did you ever have any finger issues?
No.
Other than your nails that you chewed all the time?
Chewed those all the time.
Fly ball left center field.
Had blister problems, but no finger problems.
1 down in the 4th. Twins want you and your family to be a part of this year's Fan Appreciation Weekend. Join us at Target Field on Sunday. Every child 14 and younger will receive a 2013 Twins team poster presented by New Era. Kids and adults alike will have the chance to win some great prizes like seat upgrades and food vouchers. You can join the Twins as they say thank you to everybody. 833 Twins. Visit twinsbaseball.com if you'd like to catch some baseball before the leaves turn and fall off and the snow flies and the ice appears on the lakes.
I guess if I didn't have any finger problems, I guess I didn't throw hard enough.
1-0. Now 2-0.
Kluber's done a pretty good job. Now he spent some time on a disabled list, but you go back to his last 11 starts as of July 2nd. He's 4-0 with a 2.98 ERA, and the Indians are 9-2 in those 11 starts.
Domit drives a sharp single to right. And he's aboard for Arcia. 3rd hit for the Twins. They've all been singles.
Domit picked up 3 hits in last night's ball game. Drove in the Twins' first run in the 7th inning. In last night's game, fastball, good hard swing by Domit. And you see the shift.
And now Arcia struck out to end the game last night. Struck out leading off the 2nd in his first at bat today. Underscoring the inexperience of this Twins roster, here is Arcia hitting cleanup. And last year he just finished his season at Double-A. That is blocked by Gomes. Tremendous power to all fields. I guess that's the one thing that to me separates Arcia from some of the other young prospects the Twins have had. We've seen Arcia drive the ball out to left field in addition to the pull side. Jumps away and takes strike 2.
Yeah, Kluber has that little fastball that'll tail back in, and that's exactly what that pitch was. Arcia did jump out of the way. In the minor leagues, and you have to look at those numbers too, a career .314 hitter for Arcia. With some pop.
Just off the outside corner, 2-2.
Most home runs by American League rookies this year is Arcia.
And Arcia, not one with a great deal of plate discipline these days. 2 down.
And strikeout number 4 for Kluber, getting Arcia for the 2nd time, and that's the pitch that they're going to try to get him to lay off of a little bit more, that high fastball or high breaking ball that he swung through there.
Glad you're with us for Twins baseball in the last night game of the year. We should mention one of the rookies with 8 home runs on the chart that we showed you is Aaron Hicks. Of course, started as the center fielder for the Twins. Here's Josmiel Pinto. Line to single to right center is first time up. Takes up ball 1. Asked Ron Gardenhire today about Pinto's throwing, because we really haven't seen him do much throwing behind the plate. He said, well, he has some mechanical issues that involve footwork. Terry Steinbach has worked a little bit with him, but he also reminded me that Pinto in Double-A had a shoulder problem, and so there's a limit to what they want to do with him. And it goes back to what you said too about overloading him, coming at him with too much stuff. But also they want to address some things in spring training when his shoulder, in theory, would be 100%. He had a shoulder injury in Double-A, and it's still not quite all the way back. Foul, and it's 1-2. Shoulder doesn't bother him swinging the bat, though.
No, it does not.
You know, guys, you're talking about Pinto and his abilities behind the plate. The big thing that Terry Steinbach's talked about with me since he's been up in the big leagues is Pinto's ability to want to learn about the defensive side of the game and catching, and trying also to understand what it's going to take to try to get the opposing hitters out and studying the opposing hitters. I think for a young guy just in the league, he's showing a lot of promise with his work ethic.
Ooh, oh boy. Got him in the hand.
It looked like the left hand of Pinto. More of the wrist area, the left wrist.
Yep. Ooh, that's not good. That's his throwing hand.
Oh, it's a right hand.
Yeah. Ouch. You heard it and you hoped it was the bat, but it wasn't. It was. Pinto's unbuckling like he's going to go to first. Well, that's good news. First and second, 2 away. That'll bring up Blue. Blue single. His last time up. Single to right field. Off the end of the bat, foul. Twins had a situation like this with 1 out in the second, and then Kluber got Parmalee to bounce into a double play. Down by this much, you got to come out of here with something if you're going to get back in the game. Base hit to left. Doman is going to be waved around, and the Twins are on the board. Luke with a pair of hits, and it's a 7-1 ball game. God love the fans. They haven't had anything to cheer about tonight, and they've been waiting, and finally are rewarded with something in the 4th.
I'm glad that they scored here, right there, right, give them something to cheer about so we don't have to go on kiss cam again. Kloof getting a ball that he could hit between the hole of third and short. Picks up his 52nd RBI. So Kloof, like I mentioned, having a very good September. Tries in the Twins' first run.
Mickey Callaway to the mound.
Well, you know, the thing is, I talked about Kluber, you know, I mean, he's 3-0 over his last 4 starts, but that's only 20 innings. So he's only averaged 5 innings over his last 4 starts. And we saw it last night. You start giving up some hits this part of the ballgame. I don't care, you know, how big a lead you have. Terry Francona will pull that plug.
16 relievers out there, so they've got plenty of people out there. Ron Gardenhire joked today that the Indians asked the Twins if they could use their bullpen mounds out there to warm up a couple of guys.
Remember I said it's too bad they didn't have 3 mounds out there.
Well, it's a 7-1 ball game, and things would look a whole lot better if Parmalee could cork one here. Bounced into a double play his last time up. Strike over the inside corner.
Well, the shift last time up, he hit that ball right to Cabrera, right where Pinto was standing, and then turned a double play.
2 strikes, and of course it's up to the pitcher to pitch into the shift, right? You want Parmalee to pull the ball.
Yeah, you throw him breaking balls, fastballs down, and Parmalee, they're playing the shift because they feel he's going to pull the ball more than he will hit it the other way, which he did in his first at bat, right back up the middle, and it got into the double play.
Gomes set up inside, and Kluber missed up and away. Toronto leading Tampa Bay 6-2. Bottom of the 8th inning in Toronto. Tapper foul. If that score holds, if this score holds, then the Indians are tied with the Rays for the top wild card spot. And if it's just those teams involved, then they would go in and the tiebreaker would be used. Head-to-head competition. Head-to-head competition. All the other tiebreakers can't be used to establish a playoff berth. Parmalee, I think, got a piece of it. Yep, foul ball. And that's the way it should be. I'd hate to have you know, a playoff berth determined by a tiebreaker system. It was bad enough there wasn't a tiebreaker system in place, and the Twins had to go to Chicago to play game 163 under kind of similar circumstances, even though the Twins won the season series that year. They went by coin flip. 1-2. Parmalee trying to grind out an at bat here and get a big hit. Chopper toward the hole, backhanded by Cabrera. A long throw and a nice stretch and catch by Nick Swisher. Twins get one, leave 2 at 7-1.
I'm Jamie Hirsch inside the Minnesota Lottery Winners Circle with Denise and her son Caleb, who brought his parents to the Twins game tonight for their 16th wedding anniversary. That's pretty special. You said your son worked really hard on this sign.
He did. He was so excited to come tonight, and he made the sign, and he goes, I put a lot of work into it. He sure did.
And Caleb, you told me you play baseball. What's your favorite position?
Second base.
I bet you're a really good second baseman. Can you say happy anniversary, Mom and Dad?
Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad.
Great job. Melts your heart, doesn't it? We're going to give you guys $100 of scratch-off tickets to the Minnesota Lottery to help you enjoy your anniversary even more. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody at home.
Take him, Bert.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie.
Happy anniversary to you, too.
I don't know what we've got going on here. Ron Gardenhire came back out onto the field. I don't know if there's another substitution here. It's apparently involving catcher Josmil Pinto, who's going to be taken out of the game. Chris Herman is apparently going to catch.
Yeah, that right hand might have started swelling up a little bit, and it's the best thing to do, as they'll take him back and put some ice on that right hand.
Of course, we're running out of time here with Chris Herman putting the gear on and just a couple of games left. Don't know if we'll see Pinto again this year. Hit by a pitch in the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, that ball came running in on him right on that right hand.
That just sounded bad,
yeah.
You know? One of those where you hope it hit the bat or the knob.
The knuckle of the pinky.
And, beyond the 2 games here, it would seem unlikely that Pinto would play in those 2, but then you wonder about his winter ball experience and whether that might be somehow jeopardized if there's a broken bone. It's time now for Liam Hendricks to come out of the bullpen and pitch.
Yeah, Liam, his numbers don't look real well. 42 2/3 innings. See the 12 walks, 26 strikeouts. He's given up 9 home runs.
Carlos Santana, Ryan Rayburn as Drupal Cabrera in the Cleveland 5th inning.
Hendricks making his second relief appearance. He made one in Oakland, went 6 innings. Kind of controlled that ball game, even though the Twins lost 9-1.
He's interested in his comments afterwards. He said as much that he felt a lot more comfortable doing that, and I don't know what to make of that. The game was pretty much lost. Hendricks came in and he pitched well. Oh, rattled out of Herman's glove. Herman pressed into duty with Pinto leaving. Hendricks tonight the 3rd Twins pitcher already.
Martis worked 2 1/3 innings, retired the last 7 batters he faced, did give up a run, a couple hits.
Foul back. Checked his swing. 2-2. And Hendricks, another example. Well, I think you included his name. Pitchers that have had some success down in the minor leagues have just had a terrible time having any success up here.
Yeah, hardly any at all. He has only 2 major league wins. And what, 28 major league starts.
Wide of third. Plouffe runs near the Cleveland dugout and quite reach in there.
Tough play. You know that railing's coming right on you, and Plouffe got over there, and it's kind of a timing play. Just came up a bit short.
And Plouffe chased it.
You see, they're following the flight of the ball, and then you know that Ray's feeling out for the railing, and just out of his reach.
Two and two to Santana. Full count. Jays gave up a couple of hits to the first man he faced, retired the next 7. Hendricks wants to start this inning, the 5th inning, and pitch 2-3 scoreless innings if he can. And he starts it with a leadoff walk.
And everything keys off that.
Bigger, that's just 3 and 2.
Everything keys off the fastball.
No, it is ball 4. Santana wasn't aware of it. Bring up Rayburn. Nightly on Fox Sports Live, join Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole along with Donovan McNabb, Andy Roddick, and Carissa Thompson as they bring you all the scores, news, and highlights you need. Catch Fox Sports Live nightly on Fox Sports 1. Rayburn called out on strikes in the first, 2-run single in the second. Ball 1. Kansas City leading Chicago 4-0 in the 6th inning. Maybe the best baseball news I've heard today. There's been a lot of it. Jamie Carroll got his 1,000th hit for the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, good for Jamie. Yep.
Jamie had a good year last year for the Twins and didn't hit very much this year for the Twins, but he was a credit to the Twins organization. And I suspect, I don't know this, but I suspect if the next chapter of his baseball life begins next year, he's going to make somebody a heck of a coach or a manager.
If he wants to go that direction.
It might be his kids, I don't know, but Jamie, great baseball mind and a very thoughtful player. There's not going to be much of a market, I don't imagine, for a 40-year-old infielder who hit 215 or 220, whatever it'll end up being, but he's a good guy to have on a ball club with a lot of young players on it. Brian Dozier crediting Carroll for his development from an erratic shortstop to a real steady and spectacular second baseman.
I think you could say that about Florimon and also Trevor Plouffe. You know, Carroll played all those positions, and he was a good teacher of the game.
2-2. Fouled away. Foul back. Still 2-2. As the Twins look forward to next year and who would fill what job, I think you could easily project Eduardo Escobar as being a utility infielder for the Twins. Doug Bernier, perhaps. Another full count. 15 pitches, 8 strikes for Hendricks. And Hendricks is a guy who would fit under the category of having a tough time getting swings and misses. A lot of foul balls.
He's like Hernandez. He's like Elvers. He's like a lot of the pitchers on the staff. Just can't make that good pitch to get a strikeout.
High fly to left. And Mastroianni for out number 1. We'll bring up Cabrera. Cabrera with an RBI double, a run scored, hit a warning track fly ball that put an end to the second inning.
Bert, I have a question for you. When you were just talking about, you know, guys like Hendricks and some of the guys that we've seen. You know, Cole DeVries probably fits into that. When you throw the ball 90 miles an hour and you don't have overpowering stuff, do you think, I'm watching tonight now, and you're seeing a lot of pitches that are similar, a lot of pitches up in the zone, but not a lot of change of speed. And you're really not seeing, you know, the one thing I think Alvarez has is that major change of speed, even though he doesn't throw hard. And, you know, some of our guys, everything's, you know, that 88, 91, and you get an 87, and there's nothing that really is going to be deceiving to the hitter.
Well, you need a secondary and you need a third pitch that you believe in. And I think what we see is a lot of guys, yeah, they have good changeups, but, I mean, here it is, ball one again. Get that pitch over the plate like that. Just trust your stuff down in the zone. Over and over, we see these young pitchers that are always falling behind because they do not get strike one. You know, Albers, when he pitched that shutout against Cleveland, 23 first pitch strikes of the 29 batters he faced. That's the way you go about your business. Another good fastball down. But it's a consistency that you want. Scott Diamond has struggled with that consistency.
One and two.
And it all keys off the fastball down. Now ahead in the count. See what Hendricks throws here.
Foul back. You know, I'm talking about the count, 1 and 2. And every once in a while you'll hear a pitcher talk about a pitching coach, and he really emphasizes the third pitch, you know, making the count 1-2 rather than 2-1, because it really changes the whole at bat. But little league coaches tell kids that that's not something that's not a revelation, or shouldn't be, when you get to the big league.
It doesn't matter what level you're at. There's methods of pitching that you're trying to do right there. That breaking ball. Get that breaking ball and let it fly right there. He looked like he tried to aim that ball. And now he's 2-2. Now he has to come in with a pretty good hittable pitch, because he doesn't want to go 3-2 on his third straight batter.
Foul away. Toronto beat Tampa Bay 6-3, so the door is open for the Indians to crawl into a wild card tie with the Rays for the #1 spot. I'll show you some highlights a little later. Jeremy Hellickson had another rough outing. The Tampa Bay pitching staff has been really good, but Hellickson hasn't pitched at all well in the second half.
Well, here it is. This will be his 24th pitch for Hendricks already, and he's got one out.
And another foul ball. One ball has been put in play.
He fell behind 1-0 on a ball down. Then he threw two good fastballs down for strike one, strike two. And now everything is up, other than that hard breaking ball that he tried on a 1-2 pitch. Trust your stuff down and away. Exactly where Pinto's sitting. If you're not up and away, you're going to get hurt.
Toward the gap, cut off by Mastroianni, and a nice retrieve to Florimon on one hop. It's a double for Cabrera, second and third, one away.
You get that ball down, that's the difference between a double and maybe a ground ball to short, and you're only talking maybe 6 inches. But again, another ball that, look at that pitch right there. Maybe a foot on that pitch. But Cabrera, taking that pitch the other way, he's a good hitter. They're good hitters at the major league level. They're not going to miss pitches like this.
And it's almost impossible as a hitter, I would think, to hit that pitch on the ground. I mean, it's up.
Right.
If contact is made, it's going to get hit in the air.
Well, Cabrera, with his second double of the ball game, puts runners at second and third, one out.
Twins bring the infield halfway in. Santana not blessed with a lot of speed. Strike on the outside corner.
1-1. Drove in a run with a first inning single. Hit a fly ball to center his next time up. Harmony will chase this in foul ground and has no play.
Oh, what's nice is somebody gets injured like Pinto, they can take him down and get him X-rays right away, and he had X-rays and they are negative, just bruised right hand, and he is listed
week to week. Just for a change, he's week to week. Well, there are just 2 days left in the season, and so I would imagine that Pinto will not play again. And if the only bright spot in September was Pinto's play, his ability to hit, and what he learned up here, then so be it. That was a pretty nice exhibition he put on in 20-some games. 1-2. And a swing and a miss. 2 down.
Had a big strikeout right there for Hendricks. Combs swinging through a fastball. Good location, outer half of the plate. That's a pitch I think sometimes we forget about. That pitch down and away. I keep seeing that Ted Williams chart of every pitch that he says one of the greatest hitters all time. If every pitch was down and away, he would have hit 262. That's the lowest of every baseball that was in that strike zone. So what does that tell you as a pitcher? Control down and away.
Well, the American League pitchers were really dumb in his era. They didn't throw it down there enough.
No, I guess they didn't. You'd like to be a robot and be able to do that, but you always have to go back to that pitch.
2-0.
I know throughout my career, every time I felt I needed a pitch, and that's the only pitch I wanted coming out of the bullpen, was a fastball down and away to a righty and a lefty.
I think they call that the 4 spot now,
yes.
don't they?
Yeah. They called it down and away on the black. There is black on that plate. And that's how you get ground ball outs. Down there.
It's also how you inject a little pace to the game. You know, I mean, if the hitter is up there and he knows you've got command of that down there, you're going to be much more aggressive at the plate, because I don't want to go 2 strikes if a guy can have a curveball like yours and have command of the fastball like that. A little flare to right. And dangerous play, and Doma can't make the catch. 2 runs are going to score. Went into a slide with Dozier running by him. And Santana and Cabrera will both score here in the 5th against Hendricks. I say dangerous play because it was a very similar play that nearly knocked Alexi Casilla unconscious the other day when he ran into Nick Markakis.
Always a dangerous play. You're right, Dick. I mean, this little flare right here. And you see Dozier going out and Domit calling him off, and Domit, see, had it in his glove and bounced out.
It's not that Dozier screened him so much as I think Domit was looking at Dozier and took his eye off the ball there momentarily. 1 strike to Stubbs.
They give Aviles a base hit. He drives in a couple runs with that Luke single.
Gonna miss. 2 strikes.
And here we are, 35 pitches that Hendricks has thrown here this inning.
3 balls have been put in play. Angels have tied the Rangers 3-3. 5th inning. C.J. Wilson starting for the Angels, and he's been pitching pretty well for the Angels. 1-2. A strikeout ends the inning. It is 9-1. The Twins are on their 3rd pitcher and their 2nd catcher.
fans still showing the ability to smile, even though it's 9-1.
Look at a little guy with his glove. Lost his front teeth. That's baseball right there. Joe Nathan fan.
He doesn't care what the score is.
No. Just love the game.
Darren Mastroianni will lead things off against Corey Kluber in the inning of truth for Corey Kluber. Zach McAllister taken out in the 5th inning when things started to swell. The lead's a little bit bigger for Kluber than it was for McAllister.
Yeah, Indians had a 3-0 lead when McAllister was taken out of the 5th.
You don't think Kluber's night is about ouch? Oh,
that's going to be trouble.
That awful, sickening sound. Oh, we're going to replay it. Let's turn the sound
down.
Believe
me, Mastroianni will take this right here. He's been struggling at the plate. He gets sawed off, but with Kluber
hit the mute button. Hit the mute button. I don't want to hear this again. Oh,
awesome! Look at Kluber. He can't get it, and then the speed of Mastroianni beats it out.
Guys, that's just good hitting.
That's right.
That's a base knock right there. Big league base hit.
Hit them where they ain't.
Bat boy comes out to pick up the broken bat. Mastroianni's thumbs.
That's a fantasy camp special.
Oh
right there.
my gosh! Right? We didn't know what we were in for when we switched to wooden bats down there. That didn't feel good with an aluminum bat, but at least you didn't get splinters in your hand.
Yeah, that was not their fantasy either to get sawed off.
1-0 to Florimo. Up and away. 2-0. And if you're down there in that Cleveland bullpen, though, and there are 14 of you, 16 of them, there are 12 right-handers, 4 lefties, right? I mean, you're getting loose down there, swinging your arms like, hey, doesn't work out for him. Give it a shot. I'll get a win.
8-1 lead. There might be some starters on that bench that say I could get loose.
Florimo hooks it to right and drives it deep and gone. A home run. Number 9 for Florimo. And the phone is ringing. Just kidding.
Well, it's been a long time for Florimo, and August 20th was his last home run in Detroit. And it's a 2-run home run for Florimo. Good fastball down, and that's one thing we've seen, Dick, throughout the summer. He can hit that ball down.
And has surprising power.
All of his home runs coming as a left-handed hitter. Florimo makes it a 9-3 game.
Presley will hit. Bases empty. A couple runs in. Up and away, ball 1.
The 15th home run that Kluber has allowed, and this being his 24th start.
After Josmil Pinto's home run last night, after the game, the Indians hanging on. The ball scalded to center. Presley has a hit. And the inning is looking like a good one. We'll go to Los Angeles now for a Fox Sports 1 game break. Julie. See the Rays losing, and so Cleveland, if they can win tonight, they'll pick up their 90th win and be in a tie with the Rays for the #1 spot. Texas and the Angels tied at 3 and 5th.
Callaway, the pitching coach, out to talk to his tall right-hander.
I was kidding, but look, they got the bullpen up.
I think the tension level is a little different from where we're sitting as opposed to about 15 feet to my left.
Yeah, Rich Hill's one of the 4 lefties starting to loosen up. And Ron, that's Francona. That's what he said. Hey, I've got a lot of guys out there. I'm not going to fool around. A game like this, even though they had at one time an 8-run lead, hey, they got a lot to play for right here.
You get a couple hits and another blast, and the game's close. You've already got Tampa losing the ball game today. You got to make sure you win this game if you're Terry Francona.
Managed
managerial decisions or indecisions can cost people jobs. Grady Little of the Red Sox had the job before Terry Francona, and left Pedro Martinez in after Martinez said he thought he was fine. Didn't work out well for the Red Sox. Grady Little lost his job. Pulled to third. Out there, and a nice double play. Another rally-killing double play. Second one the Twins have hit into in the first 5 innings.
Tell you what, Avila got that ball and he threw a P over to Kipnis, and that's what really helped turn that double play.
Running a trip to the mound by Mickey Callaway.
Yeah. Well, watch Avila as he winds up, and this ball sinks right back into that swing of Dozier. And watch this throw right here. He had something on that throw. Quick turn of a double play.
Yeah, that was a really good turn by Kipnis too. He stayed in there with the runner barreling down on him. That's a good double play.
On the outside corner, a strike to Ryan Doman.
Second double play the Twins have hit into.
Doman has every intention of coming back next year as a catcher for the Twins. Joe Mauer has every intention of coming back as a catcher for the Twins. Don't know whether there would be a third catcher. Referencing Pinto, of course, swing and a miss, 1 and 2.
I think the Twins have to sit down with Joe Mauer, and you don't need Joe Mauer to play 115 ball games. You need him out there for 150 plus games a year. Would maybe playing first base be the answer for Joe? Time will tell.
1 and 2, and Doman loops one over the head of second baseman Kipnis. Doman with a late September surge, getting the batting average over 250.
Yeah, again, 3 hits in last night's ball game. Second hit here tonight. Watch this breaking ball right here, kind of flattens out, and Doman able to keep that level swing and hit it sharply into right field.
And now Arcia. Swing and a miss. Tigers lost to the Marlins 3-2. Tigers also lost an iconic figure from their past, Gates Brown, one of the great pinch hitters of his era, passed away today at the age of 74.
Boy, they had Gates Brown, they had Ike Brown, they had Willie Horton, 3 big men. You didn't fool around with that ball club. When they said they didn't like something, you said yes, sir.
2 strikes to Arcia. And a cutter. Something moving inside underneath Arcia's swing. The Twins get a couple on the Florimone home run. Scan brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Well, the whole idea of pitching is keeping the ball away from the barrel of a bat, and that's one thing that Hernandez was unable to do here today. He worked the first inning and 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs all earned. And you can see where all the hits were, right there on the barrel of a bat.
Michael Brantley against Liam Hendricks in a first pitch strike. Brantley, Swisher, and Kipnis. 2 strikes.
Hendricks needed 37 pitches to get through the 5th inning. Ahead in the count now, 0-2. It doesn't have to be a perfect pitch, just keep the ball down. That's your ultimate goal. And that's a high fastball, and Brantley strikes out. 3rd strikeout for Hendricks.
Join the fun at Target Field. The Twins celebrate Fan Appreciation Weekend starting tonight. All fans will get a 2014 wall calendar presented by Ford and your Northland Ford dealers. You'll also have a chance to win seat upgrades, autographed baseballs, food and beverage vouchers, and more. 833 Twins or twinsbaseball.com. And a reminder along the way that tomorrow's game was scheduled for 3 o'clock or 3:10. And instead it'll be moved up to 12:10.
And you'll be doing that game for Big Fox?
I'll be working it with Eric Harris. And Strike, who I've not worked with for 19 years. So when the kiss cam comes around in the 6th inning,
he might be getting
we'll just a politely nod to him. 1-1. Doman toward the fence, plays the carom, and he holds Swisher to a single. Swisher almost made it halfway between 1st and 2nd. Doman played that well and held him to a base hit.
Yeah, good play by Ryan Doman. He realized he could not catch the ball, so what do you have to do? You have to play the carom and hopefully get it back in quickly. Ryan has shown a pretty good arm out in right field.
Got another assist last night.
Yep. Ball right there, and Swisher hitting it sharply. And watch the carom right here. Doman backpedaling, getting that ball, and then throwing a 1-hop pee to second base. So Swisher gets his 2nd hit, but it's only a single.
Kipnis has 2 hits, driving in another run against the Twins. Was kind of burst on the scene last year, much in the same way that Brian Dozier has this year. Different type of player. Kipnis stealing bases much more frequently than even the Indians thought he would. But last year was kind of a year where a lot of people noticed Jason Kipnis in the Cleveland lineup, and I think the same can be said for Brian Dozier for the Twins this year.
Yeah, and that's why hopefully Brian Dozier will be able to do next year what Kipnis has done this year. See the 22 RBIs this year against the Twins. The most against one team. Kipnis last year hit only .257 in 152 ball games.
Swing and a miss.
Hendricks picks up his 4th strikeout.
One thing the Indians have done is they've surrounded Kipnis with a lot more talent than they had last year, and that'll be Terry Ryan's hope this offseason.
You saw that Herman wanted that ball in, and remember, even big league hitters get themselves out. Good hitters get themselves out 7 out of 10 times. Kipnis swinging through that high fastball like Brantley did.
Santana, he scored 3 runs. He's got a pair of doubles and a walk. Strike. Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati 4-1. That's a big game on the National League side. Pirates have a 2-game lead over the Reds now. 1 hop to Parmelee. That takes care of the 6th for Cleveland.
The Twins bullpen has been called upon a lot this season, no doubt about it, and that's the subject of tonight's Grand Casino Social Spotlight. We want to know if you could pick one Twins reliever to be the MVP of that bullpen, who would it be? And why? Maybe you like closer Glenn Perkins or Brian Dunsing. Anthony Swarzak has been good in long relief. Give us your thoughts using the hashtag TwinsPen, and we will share our favorite tweets in our post-game show. Dick and Bert?
Yeah, thank you, Jamie, very much. Yeah, that's a good question. Who is the MVP? Of course, Perkins has the 36 saves, but there are some guys out there that have had very good years to set up that opportunity for Perkins to pick up the save. Guys like Casey Bean.
Chris Herman drives the first pitch to center, and Stubbs is there for the catch, 1 away.
Anthony Swarzak. So there are some good arms out there. Burton's been kind of hot and cold.
Trevor Plouffe will hit. You know, it's the name is the job description. A major league manager manages things, and when the starting pitching is as short as it has been for the Twins this year, one of the things you can't manage is the bullpen. You're making pitching changes because you have to, rather than because of when you want to. And you know, for most of the season, it sure seems like you know, Ron Gardenhire's gone to his bullpen because he's had to, not because he wants to.
Well, that's why you need the guys like Swarzak and Presley, guys that have been able to pitch multi-innings in that bullpen and done a good job of keeping the club at least close late in the game.
Foul down the right field line and spinning back into the seats. 2 strikes. A couple of hits for Plouffe, 1 to left, 1 to right. The run batted in. It's not going to grab anybody by the collar and snap them to attention, but Plouffe has had a really good month of September, both at the plate and in the field. Now, he hasn't hit for a lot of power, but he has gotten his batting average up, and he's got his 3rd hit tonight. So the batting average getting up to where the Twins expected it to be, but I think the best thing that's happened is his ability in the field. He's really tightened up his glove game.
Yeah, I think if Ron Coomer were here, he'd talk about that level swing and good concentration right there by Plouffe on the little cutter, slider, taking right back up the middle.
Kloof hit 24 home runs, drove in 55 runs. Had a chance with 52 runs batted in to equal his RBI output of a year ago, which wasn't very good given all the home runs, but he had 235 last year, and right now it looks like the batting average might be about 20 points higher. There's Parmalee. A couple of ground balls to short, one of them starting a double play. One and one. Check his swing. 2-1.
Corey Kluber's pitch count now at 84, 56 against strikes. So 2 strikes to every ball thrown. 3 balls thrown, excuse me. His longest outing came in his last start over his last 4. He went 5 1/3 innings.
Two and one. 3-1. Mastroianni on deck.
Action in the bullpen again for the Indians.
Parmalee draws a walk. 2 years ago it was Parmalee coming up in September and hitting the ball well. 355, 4 homers, 14 runs batted in. Fox College Saturday returns with another full day, beginning with SMU taking on TCU, followed by Louisiana Tech and Army from the Cotton Bowl on Fox Sports 1. Then in the nightcap, the Pac-12 battle between Arizona and 16th ranked Washington. Fox Sports is your home for college football all season long. First and second, one down. Mastroianni with a different bat hitting here in the 6th inning.
I think Kluber's one good pitch away from being out of this ball game. See if Darren can hit it sharply right here, drive in a run. Or I should say one bad pitch.
One strike.
CC Lee, the right-hander. Rich Hill, the left-hander.
Going to miss on the breaking pitch. 2 strikes. Nothing short of a lost season for Mastroianni with the ankle problem. Finally found himself in a situation in an organization that had plans for him as a 4th outfielder. And then he fouled the ball off his ankle in late spring. The ankle's still not 100% by any means. He needs to rest, like Josh Willingham needs to let the knee rest, like Joe Mauer needs to get away from the game for a while and reassess things and go after it in February when spring training opens up again.
The Twins have missed his speed throughout the summer too.
2-2. Kluber again thought that was at the belt.
Now Kluber with 5 strikeouts in a ball game, 1 walk, that being Parmalee. He's had a couple double plays turned behind him.
Base hit center field. Everybody will move up a base. It cost Mastroianni another bat, but will make the exchange gladly. Bases loaded now. Florimon coming up, and And here comes Terry Francona.
Like I said, he is one bad pitch away from being out of this ball game, and another 5 1/3 innings for Kluber. But there's a 9-3 lead when he comes out.
Bases loaded, one down, and Terry Francona turns the game over to the voluminous Cleveland bullpen. He'd like to hit another one.
Yeah, I got a pitch down from Kluber and hit the ball into the seats in right field. I made it a 9-3 Twins game where we are right now, and he comes up with bases loaded, 1 out.
Kloof, Harmely, Mastroianni have all reached with 1 out in the inning.
And Rich Hill coming into the ballgame, making his 63rd relief appearance in his first season with the Indians. Last 3 seasons wore a Boston Red Sox uniform. The high ERA at 6.34. 29 walks in 38 1/3 innings, but 51 strikeouts.
If Florimon hits one out here, it would be his first as a right-handed batter this year. After a high fastball, 1 strike. Florimon's at-bats from this side of the plate have been much better as the season has worn along, to the point where I think at this point teams are doing him a favor by getting him to switch to the other batter's box when they hit him. 1-1.
A big sweeping breaking ball along with a fastball by Hill.
Now the numbers aren't even by any means, but he's particularly in terms of making contact, actually been a more consistent hitter from the right side of the plate than the left. His batting average is less from this side of the plate, but his contact average is much higher. 2-1. Hits, 5 of them for extra bases. As a right-handed batter. 3-1.
I mentioned the 29 walks, 6 intentional for Hill, but still very high in 38 innings pitched. He finds himself in a fastball situation that he'll have to throw Florimon right here.
Tapped it to the right side. And a nice catch by Hill. A nice flip by Swisher. Florimon with a run batted in, and it's 9-4.
Yeah, Florimon will get an RBI as Blue scores. But you're right, that's a nice play. Swisher, he has to come off the bag right here and field this ball. And then the little quick flip. And then Hill able to get that right foot on the bag before Florimon can get to the bag. Good lead right there by Swisher. See how he led him? Okay, now catch the ball early enough. Get it in your glove. Now find the bag. Exactly what Hill was able to do.
Presley singled his last time up. The single here would create a little more anxiety in the Cleveland dugout. 2 men in scoring position. And as the Twins rolled into the 7th inning, it would look a lot nicer if it were a 9-6 game. Slow breaking ball. Spins over, strike one. Presley lined a single to center his last time up.
Hill, 33 years old. He's pitched for the Cubs, the Orioles, the Red Sox, now the Indians.
To left, down for a hit, and it is 9-6. It was 7-0, and now the Twins with a run in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 3 so far here in the 6th.
That's good hitting by Presley right there. That breaking ball didn't have a lot of bite to it. It just kind of rolled in. And Presley did a good job of just hitting it the other way. Watch his pitch. Just kind of softly hitting it into left field with 2 outs. Runners taking off. Marbley scores. Mastroianni scores. And the Twins are back into this ballgame.
And another pitching change for Cleveland. They got us for about a 4.5-hour game here tonight.
As long as the Twins win. That was nice.
Inherited the 3 runners, and all 3 of them scored. Now C.C. Lee comes in, and he will face Brian Dozier.
Yeah, C.C. Lee just making his 8th relief appearance. 4 innings so far. 3 walks with 3 strikeouts. Lee from Taiwan. Signed by the Indians in 2008 in his first season at the major league level.
Dozier's 0 for 3. And he takes ball 1. A lot of crooked numbers up on the board. Indians have scored 9 runs over 3 innings. The Twins have scored 6 in the last 3 innings. The fastball, a strike.
Yeah, Lee coming off that Tommy John surgery he had June of last year. start pitching for the Indians in AAA until June of this year.
Need a bloop and a blast here in the 6th. 1-2. Justin Masterson and Mark Zubchinski. Masterson thought to be a possible closer by the Cleveland fans. Terry Francona says, well, just hold on a second here. He's going to pitch in the 6th of the 7th inning. Off the plate, 2-2. But after Josmil Pinto's 2-run home run last night and Chris Perez being taken out of the game, he as much as handed in his resignation as closer to Terry Francona. Said, I don't want to cost us any ball games. Go find somebody else. Dozier waves at a breaking pitch. The inning comes to a close. But 3-run score. The Twins are back in the game, 9-6. For the Indians.
Yeah, 4 in the first and then 3 in the second. And that gave the Indians an early 7-0 lead. They added 2 more in the 5th, but the Twins have been coming back. Floremont's 2-run home run, that coming in the 5th inning. And we just saw Alex Presley, a 2-run base hit. Twins now down 9-6.
Now Liam Hendricks, with the Twins drawing closer, starts his 3rd inning of work. Hendricks gave up a couple of them in the 5th. Again, a play like that happens. Doman sliding to make an awkward catch, and the ball bounces out of his glove. 2 more runs score. And when the score is 9-1, you don't think so much about those 2 runs, but had Doman held on to the ball, now we'd be dealing with a 1-run ball game. 1-1 to Rayburn. 2-1.
Remember in last night's ball game, it was Albers that came in when Cabrera tried to bunt and just dropped the ball right there, and that created a big 3-run inning for the
fouled away
for the Indians in the 4th inning.
So then you're left sometimes watching a ball game, and it's been this way for 125 years. The teams that are in contention, the teams that have that little extra edge about them, the ball bounces their way, they make the plays, and the other team doesn't. And that's kind of what we've seen here in this homestand. 2-2. And strike 3. That's a problem controlling the pitch.
Strikeout number 5 for Liam.
One down. MLB.com At Bat is celebrating 5 years as your #1 mobile app for live baseball. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10, and Windows Phone 8. At Bat delivers Twins baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit twinsbaseball.com for details. One gone. Here's Cabrera. Toward the hole and through. Hold a ground ball into right field for a 1-out single.
And not a bad pitch right there. You go down and away, and sometimes you have to tip your hat to the hitter that Cabrera hit a pretty good pitch. Cabrera picks up his 3rd hit of the ball game. Not a bad pitch right there. You know, the ball just found the right spot between first and second. Throw that pitch again, you might get a ground ball double play hit at somebody.
Yan Gomes, the batter. It's a big swing and a miss.
Gomes struck out against Hendricks in the 5th inning. Williams given up 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, just 1 walk.
A foul. 2 strikes. Going to the bottom of the 7th in Arlington, Texas, tied at 3 between the Angels and Rangers. Toronto's already beaten Tampa Bay 6-3. Again, Hendricks has a hard time making the catch, looking at his glove regularly, the ball bouncing out of his glove.
Herman tried to catch that right off the end of his glove. Ball might have sailed on him a little bit. Fastball here. Throw over.
You know, just seeing Herman put down the one finger triggered a comment that a thought or memory of a comment Ron Gardenhire said this afternoon. We saw Pinto and Albers seemingly at odds, had a tough time getting on the same page. A lot of trips to the mound, and Albers was visibly frustrated. Pinto, I'm sure, wasn't enjoying the early innings of the game. Swing and a miss, and Gomes strikes out. 2 down.
Second time that Gomes strikes out against Hendricks, and Liam picks up strikeout number 6.
The update visually, graphically, the scores. Gardenhire said last night that there was a question of tempo. Andrew Albers likes one sign, let's go, let's go. And Pinto is throwing, dropping down more than one sign, and suggesting that that's part of the game that Pinto needs to learn, that every pitcher is different. You have to work within their pace and their tempo. You don't think so much about it. But Albers, as we recall now, he likes to look in, let's go, give me the ball back, let's go again.
Almost like Kitty Cott used to.
Right, right.
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
And in the case of last night, Pinto had the effect of slowing Albers down and kind of knocking him off of his rhythm.
Well, you know what? I think what they saw early on, Pinto did, is that the Indians came out swinging because of what Albers did with that 2-hit shutout. And Pinto thought he had to change it around, and Albers said, no, I want to keep going that fastball, but I'll throw it in a better spot. And that was a miscommunication they had.
Bottom of the 7th coming up. Twins down by 3. health injury report. Cardinals heading to the playoffs without one of their big cogs. He's had a foot injury. Alan Craig with very impressive numbers, particularly with men on base. He's been really, really good for St. Louis, and they're going to have to try to get through the first playoff round without him.
That whole Cardinal ball club with runners in scoring position hitting over 300 this year. You see where the Cardinals are, and the Pirates beating the Cincinnati Reds today. They have that 2-game lead. 2 more games to play.
The playoff field in the National League is set. We don't know for sure who's going to play who and all that. Here's Mark Zepchinski coming in for the second time in the series to face Ryan Doman. First pitch strike.
Zepchinski pitched in last night's ball game just a third of an inning. Threw 8 pitches, 4 for strikes.
Tapper foul. Cardinals are up 7-0 over the Cubs in St. Louis, and if they clinch, they'll win the division. Or if they win today, they'll win the division. And foul to the screen. 2 strikes.
Zepchinski added to that bullpen of the Indians in late July, coming over from the Cardinals.
Doman called out on strikes, 1 away. Bring up Arcia.
Well, the breaking ball right there after some fastballs away, kind of a backdoor breaking ball. Zepchinski picking up a strikeout. His 19th strikeout, 18th innings pitched for the Indians.
Maybe the most encouraging thing for Arcia in his rookie season is the fact he's hit left-handers as well as right-handers. The Twins need are everyday non-platoon players that can be productive in the lineup, and one would think that Arcia is in a strikeout rut right now. We've seen him go through those. That as Arcia has shown the ability to hit left-handed pitching, that should bode pretty well for him down the road. 9 in the count now, 0-2.
Yeah, he has already struck out 3 times.
Struck out in his only at bat last night to end the ball game. One and 2. The Twins really have not had any kind of any semblance of a set lineup this year. They're looking for players that, and a liner. It's softly to Swisher, 1 away. I'll bring up Herman. Chance for you to look ahead to spring training next year. The official spring training fan experience is out there for you. One-stop shopping for game tickets, hotel accommodations, as well as exclusive pregame meet and greets with players, front office staff, other personalities. Call 612-276-3824. Sit down, and here's Herman.
Always a fun time of the year, spring training.
Pinto left the ball game after being hit by a pitch in the 4th. 1-1. It's to left. It's hit right at the left fielder, Brandon. Zepchinski comes in and has a 1-2-3 7th inning.
copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
You're only going to read that one more time.
One more time on Sunday. And good luck tomorrow. Have fun. And then Sunday night, I'm going to join you. Take a look at Liam Hendricks and some of his strikeouts. 6 so far in 3 innings for Liam. He has given up 4 hits, a couple runs, but has picked up some strikeouts. You're being honored Sunday night in the Minnesota Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Again, congratulations to you, my partner.
Thank you. I'm honored to be honored, if that makes any sense.
Got it, Your Honor.
Hendricks starting the 8th inning. He'll face Stubbs, Brantley, and Swisher. Swing and a miss.
This game seems like it's a 5-hour ball game for some reason, and I know that I've read that disclaimer a couple times already in this game. They snuck it in there again.
Yeah. Toward the hole, backhanded, nope. Dropped by Florimone. I doubt they would have gotten Stubbs anyway. In fact, Stubbs is given credit for a base hit. You see it all the time. A guy who can run pretty well, and everybody tries to speed things up a little bit, and I think that's what happened to Florimone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that breaking ball left up Stubbs, who has tremendous speed down that, and Florimone knew he had to get it and then spin around and throw a P over to first to get Stubbs. And he could not get that ball in his glove, so Stubbs gets a base hit.
When you look at Stubbs, he's hitting in the low 200s. He's hitting about what Florimone is hitting. Same number of home runs. Florimone's case, he's hit about the same number of driven in the same number of runs. 9 starters for Cleveland with a base hit now. 1 strike to Brantley.
Yeah, 14 hits total for the Indians, 11 for the Twins.
Stubbs is putting together the ball line to left, and Strani catches the liner one away. Stubbs is putting together 9th place numbers. He brings some ability, some power and some speed to the number 9 spot, but he's doing it as an outfielder, and Florimone's doing it as a shortstop. 1 down, and Nick Swisher will bat.
Stubbs came over from the Reds, and really over there, his career .241 hitter. A lot of strikeouts. A lot of strikeouts. A lot of speed, though. He can steal some bases, like you mentioned. Last year with the Reds, hit only .213, but he did steal 30 bases.
Swisher with a pair of hits. And there he goes.
Yeah, great job.
Herman's throw. Caught by Florimone, a stolen base.
And that's stolen base number 17 for Stubbs in 19 attempts. Got a great jump off of Hendricks. Look at the jump right there. By the time Herman got the ball, Stubbs was over halfway to second. And the Indians use that running game. Stubbs is 17th home or stolen base, and for the Indians are 116th on the year.
Outside, 1-1. Swisher with modest numbers this year, leading the team with 21 home runs. But a history, because he played for the Yankees and then some success in Oakland as well, a history of winning. And Giambi, the same thing. As the Indians saw their season crumble around them in August last year, the feeling was that once things started to go south, people panicked. I don't know that Nick Swisher has panicked once in a baseball suit.
Well, he was disgusted on that last pitch as he walked away because I think he missed his pitch, and he kind of was frustrated that he didn't hit that ball or swing at it.
You know what I mean, though? I mean, Swisher, you lose a game, that's tough. You come back and get him the next day. He knows how to win because he has won. Giambi. Frank Conan is the manager. And as exciting as it's been for the Indians here in September, a foul tip. Swisher strikes out 2 down.
And strikeout number 7 for Leo.
We'll bring up Kipnis.
Yeah, when you add the presence of Swisher or Giambi, it helps the Brantleys, it helps the Kipnises and the Santanas and the Cabreras. Oh, just big swing right there. Not only the follow through, but then the other follow through as he went back around again.
You see a swing like that, and you understand how players can pull obliques. 1 strike. Play-by-play guys do not have obliques. Might have had them at one point, but we don't have them anymore. But you swing that hard, and these little muscles that are around your rib cage, you can see why they'd get stretched and torqued. And 2-0, and why if you pull one, you've got to shut things down for a while. There's a frustrating at bat.
He's talking about that at bat right there.
2-0 to Kipnis with an important runner at second base. Hendricks trying to strand him there. Rangers with a couple of 7th inning runs. They lead the Angels now 5-3.
These 3 teams are going to come down to the wire for that wild card. Texas wins, that's her 89th win. Cleveland wins, that's her 90th. They'd be tied with Tampa Bay if Cleveland wins.
The center. Presley over, can't make the catch. The 10th run will score for Cleveland, and guess who drove it in? Kipnis with 2 RBIs tonight, and he's 3/4 of the way to the cycle.
He has basically murdered the Twins pitching staff this year, hitting over 400, tailing fastball left about belt high, and Presley gave it a good run, but just comes up short. Reaches out, maybe off the tip of his glove. It's an RBI double for Kipnis, driving in his 2nd run of the ball game, and his 83rd RBI on the year.
Montana will be walked, and Rayburn will hit. Hendricks pitched a scoreless 6th and 7th, but gave up a hit in each inning. Could not pitch around the leadoff hit here in the 8th. And Ryan Rayburn will hit. Rayburn with a damaging 2-run single in the 2nd. Swing on this. One strike. Cleveland's right fielder. Indians are hopeful that Michael Bourne will rejoin their lineup tomorrow. He would then play center field, and Stubbs would in all likelihood go back to right. Rayburn's had kind of a breakout year in his own right for the Indians, getting a chance to play on a more regular basis. Fly ball left field. Mastroani started back. Now he comes in to make the catch and end the inning. A leadoff single and a 2-out double. Indians lead at 10-6.
Going into the bottom of the 8th, and we invite you to stay with us after the game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll take a look at some extra bases for the Indians. They've had quite a few tonight, including one in the last inning. We'll also take a look at Liam Hendriks' role as a relief pitcher tonight, dissect his outing, and we'll go inside the clubhouse and hear from manager Ron Gardenhire. All of that and more following the game, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie.
We were talking about obliques, and on cue, Justin Masterson comes in. That's what put him on the disabled list earlier this month.
Yeah, he's now in the bullpen, making just his second relief appearance. He's worked 190 in a third innings this year, and his first appearance coming on Wednesday in relief.
This was after the Tuesday night meltdown by Chris Perez, and they finish off the ball game in his first game back. And that triggered all sorts of thoughts and suggestions that Masterson could be the next Cleveland closer. Terry Francona said, no, Chris Perez is my guy. But then last night, after Perez gave up the 4 runs, that all changed. Strike 1 to Plouffe. 3 singles for Trevor.
Yeah, but Terry Francona also said, let's not make a decision 5 minutes or 10 minutes after a ball game.
Right.
You know, Perez was pretty upset. He came in and said, you know, I'm done. I don't want to close anymore. And Terry Francona said to the media, he said, let's talk about it tomorrow. Matt Carson now in right field, taking over for Rayburn.
Francona told the media it was going to be bullpen by committee. He's in a situation now where it's a 4-run lead. It's not a safe situation. But if the Twins can score a couple runs, or for that matter, just one here, he might create a save situation, and somebody's got to have to get 3 outs in the 9th in a save situation. Up and in, and it's 2-2. The question, I'm guessing, that's on people's minds, though, regarding Masterson potentially closing, he has to stay healthy, and would he be able to, recovering from this left oblique strain, be able to close games 2-3 nights in a row? That's what you want of your closer come playoff time. Foul back. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, as a guy who's coming back from an oblique pull, what would be more strenuous on the affected area. Would it be trying to start and go 5-6 innings, or would it be going an inning at a time at the end of a ball game? And it's a leadoff walk for Trevor Plouffe here in the 8th.
Well, I know when Masterson first came up with the Boston Red Sox, he could not jump into that rotation, so he was worked out of the bullpen, but never into that closer's role.
An updated look at the AT&T Twitter poll, and we're asking you who will win the Manager of the Year, and Terry Francona getting 44% of the vote. Parmalee walked and scored his last time up. He'll hit here. Inside, ball 1, and Masterson's biggest issue right now, throwing strikes. 8 pitches, only 3 of them over the plate.
Yeah, he's a strikeout pitcher. He throws a lot of pitches. I mean, 190 strikeouts and 190 in a 3rd innings pitch, but also 75 walks. When he's on, he has a nasty sinker with that hard slider.
Fouled away, 1-1. Going to the bottom of the 8th in Arlington, Texas, leading 5-3. And Gomes has some equipment repair. A lot of people thought when Masterson went down with this oblique, and it was a strain. It wasn't a pull. That explains why he's back as quickly as he is. But a lot of people thought, well, that's it for the Indians. They're going to fade. And instead, everybody else in the rotation, stepped up and pitched at a level higher than they had before. Pulled foul. It's as if the other members of the rotation said, hey, take care of it. We got this. When you come back at the end of the month, we're still going to be there. Including Jimenez. Jimenez is set to go on Sunday. 1-2 to Parmalee. And foul.
Masterson made 2 starts against the Twins earlier this year.
Up high. 2-2. Back to the screen. Parmalee battling Masterson. At the very least, Perez's struggles, and they've been going on for a long time, really inserts a little chaos into a bullpen that's been really good. But the last thing you want, of course, is chaos in late September. And Parmalee's called out on strikes. Away.
Yeah, Masterson went middle in, and Parmalee lifted his arms like it was inside, but it was called a strike by Tony Randazzo, the home plate umpire.
If there was black on the plate, that would have crossed it. There's Mastroianni. Strike 1. Mastroianni is gotten a couple of hits. It may have cost him 2 bats, but very important hits, because after his leadoff single in the 5th, the Twins got a couple. After his single loaded the bases in the 6th, the Twins ended up with 3 more. Half swing and a strike, 0-2.
I think the biggest thing, Dick, for a guy like Masterson, that has been basically a reliever since he put on an Indians uniform, it's the time. Okay, going to pitch tonight. Can he bounce back tomorrow?
Right.
And it takes him a little bit longer, I'm sure, to get loose because he's used to starting.
Foul back.
Some relievers, most relievers, if you're the closer like Perkins, he can get up and he'll probably be ready in 10 to 15 pitches and knows he's going to get 8 out here, so he can find that 95-mile-an-hour fastball in 20 pitches. Masterson, you're used to going down to the bullpen, throwing maybe 50, 60, 70 pitches to prepare yourself for a game.
Pitch is up, 1-2. The Twins had something similar happen. They switched closers. Joe Nathan in May a couple of years ago really struggled in a series in St. Petersburg, and the Twins switched to Matt Capps for the balance of the season. Or no, that's not true. Nathan came back at the end of the year to resume closer's duties. But I guess the point is that was in May. Teams are reluctant to do it early in the season, and now you just have to find somebody, maybe even yet tonight, to pick up a save in late September.
I think they're hoping that Masterson can get through here and then maybe go out there for the night.
This will be his 20th pitch, and it's dribbled foul. There are some other candidates, of course. Albers, Shaw,
Joe Smith. Even though that's not his real name.
One and two. And Mastroianni takes the call, 3rd strike, 2 down. That'll bring up Florimo.
Well, with 2 strikes, you have to be able to swing the bat. We've seen this way too often this year, giving up on that breaking ball that broke the inner part of the plate. Clock strikes, that is a strike.
Florimo back from the left side. Last time he hit here, he hit a 2-run home run into the basket in right field. Foul back, 1 strike. Up the line, foul, 2 strikes. Again, foul behind Scotty Elgin. Given the nature of the injury, and Indians wouldn't put him out there unless he's healthy, but this is going to be his 25th pitch.
Well, you're talking about a former starter, though, too.
Right.
So we'll see what Terry Francona does, but he's a guy that has the arm strength, and he strikes out the side.
A walk and 3 called 3rd strikes.
That sure did. 4 runs in the first inning. Those coming off of Pedro Hernandez, and then he started the second inning and gave up a couple more. Florimon with a home run, his 9th of the year. And coming in the 5th inning, Presley with a 2-run single right there made it a 9-6 ball game. And the Indians added another run in the top of the 8th, and they lead 10-6.
Twins got 4 runs in the 9th yesterday, and they are going to need at least that many here tonight. Asdrubal Cabrera will face Liam Hendricks. Hendricks came into the game in the 5th as the 3rd Twins pitcher. The Twins got 1 2/3 innings out of Pedro Hernandez. Hernandez gave up 7 hits and 6 runs. The center and Presley have been kept very busy. And down. Congratulations to Mike Matheny and the Cardinals. Cardinals clinching the National League Central.
Yadimir Molina has had a great year for the Cardinals.
There's Medlin and the Braves shutting out the Phillies. A.J. Burnett with an important win for the Pirates because they now have 2 games between themselves and Cincinnati, and that might be the difference between hosting the wild card game or having to go to Cincinnati.
Right.
Five 5-3 Texas over the Angels in the bottom of the 8th. And it looks as if the game in Texas will perhaps end about the same time this game ends. And then Terry Francona will know about the magic number, if it's 2 or 1. And remember, both teams have altered start times. The Twins and Indians will play here tomorrow a little after noon if you have a ticket, or if you want to watch the game, it's going to be moved up till noon. And today baseball announced that the Rangers have moved their game up to 11 in the morning because of imminent thunder showers, rather substantial ones I would gather, Saturday night down in the Arlington area. Cole DeVries going for the Twins, and Scott Kazmir going for the Indians. Noon on Channel 9 in the Twin Cities. Mike Aviles, the batter.
Yeah, Liam Hendricks, 8 strikeouts now.
He has given up 3 runs, 2 in the first inning of work, and then a big 2-out double by Kipnis, pushing the lead out to 4. Tap foul, 1-1.
That's a career high for Hendricks with the 8 strikeouts. He had 7 in Oakland, and that was a career high at that time.
As a relief pitcher.
As a relief pitcher, yeah. So 15 strikeouts and 4 or 10 2/3 innings for Hendricks.
I believe that is the season high for a Twins pitcher. No Twins starter struck out more than 7 this year. And Hendricks does it in a relief role with 8 tonight. 2-1. 3-1. And he is approaching the 100 pitch mark. Hendricks has thrown 91 pitches in the ball game. The ball ripped to the gap. Mastroeni will get it back in. It's a hit for Aviles.
Yeah, I find it interesting. Aviles gets his second hit of the ball game. That Hendricks said, you know, maybe a little more calmer. You know, some guys can start, some can't at this level. Maybe putting too much pressure on himself when he does start. Again, 28 starts, only 2 wins. Now, he had pitched some good ball games, but still just shows you, what, 2-14 as a starter and an ERA of about 5.
Ball 1. Now, we have spent a good part of this year complimenting Anthony Swarzak, pitching in the role that he's pitched in. He's done a nice job, and maybe that's where Hendricks is destined to be. And then the problem is, of course, the Twins already have Swarzak to do that. You don't need, well, If you didn't need 2 of them this year. 1-0. It is a big league job, and it is an important one. But if you are in that role, you can't help but look, to a shorter, later relief role or moving someday back into the rotation.
Yeah, I said 14 losses, 2 and 13 in 28 starts.
Strike ball, 1-1.
And again, this being his second relief appearance. Now, in his appearance in Oakland, he kind of picked up the bullpen, 6 innings. Twins lost that ball game 9-1. He threw 102 pitches in 6 innings. Here he's trying to pitch 5, and this will be pitch number 95.
1 and 2. Well, 5 innings, whether it's the first 5 or the last 5, 100 pitches over 5 innings is still too many.
Another reason he's in the bullpen.
Trying to keep this a 10-6 game. Blocked by Herman, 2-2. Herman might find himself, well, I would guess he'd make at least 1 start under the assumption Pinto's not going to catch anymore with being hit in the right hand by a pitch. The Twins have a lot of catchers, but not many of them are going to be able to catch here this weekend. Eric Fryer might get a start. Chris Herman might get the other. 2-2. Ryan Doman won't catch. Of course, Joe Mauer won't play. Joe, I think we've got a shot of him in the dugout. He's here in uniform. Lifted foul into the seats.
Yeah, I know. I walked by Joe last night while leaving, and of course you say, "Hey Joe, how you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm fine." But he's going to hear that all winter long. I almost felt like apologizing to Joe. I didn't mean it that way, It's
just a question you don't necessarily want an answer to, right? Everybody says, "How you doing?"
Yeah, hey, how you doing? So I feel good. Well, get used to it. And we hope he does feel good.
Did you tell him what the highlight of your night was last night?
No, I haven't told too many people that. Even though I think the social media got hold of that. And by the way, you didn't have to do that just because I bought you those cufflinks.
My partner was nice enough to get me some baseball cufflinks, which is kind of my wardrobe gimmick if I have one. In Cooperstown. That had nothing to do
with last
night. 3-2, and the runner at first will go with 2 gone.
Let's take a look at this pitch right here. Stubbs taking it, of course. Herman.
That's a swing. His wrist broke.
Yep. I thought the pitch looked pretty good. I was going off the pitch.
3-2.
Pitch number 100.
Fly to left. Chased by Mastroianni at the wall. And gone. A home run for Drew Stubbs. Just out of the reach of Mastroianni.
And Stubbs hitting his 10th home run of the year. Another Indian with 10 or more home runs. Looked like a breaking ball. Yeah, a little cutter, slider. Stubbs dropping the barrel of the bat and just going over the wall.
Hit the back fence there. Gardenhire was hoping to get through this game with just 3 pitchers, but Hendricks faltered a bit at the end of the 8th inning and again here at the end of the 9th.
5 innings pitched.
And that home run by Stubbs, that is 11 players that the Indians have that have hit 10 or more home runs. So
Gardenhire didn't want to have to go to another pitcher, but he will bring Brian Dunsing in here with 2 out in the 9th.
yeah, Dunsing making his 72nd relief appearance. He worked here last on Wednesday against the Tigers, 2/3 of an inning with a strikeout.
Swing and a miss, 1 strike. Well, the Twins got back into the game, and then Kipnis hits a 2-out double to drive in a run in the 8th. Vilas gets a single. Gardenhire had a little chat with Tony Randazzo as he walked back to the dugout after making the pitching change. They thought they had Stubbs struck out twice on the pitch and the swing, and then a moment later he hits a 2-run home run, and now you're looking at a 6-run deficit again. Inside 2-1. To the screen. 2-2. Matt Albers in the 9th inning in a obviously non-save situation. Inside 3-2.
You know, with Albers just getting up, I thought, and there was no action in their bullpen, that Masterson was going to go out for, you know, a 2nd inning of relief. But with that 2-run home run, now a 6-run lead, you might want to save him for tomorrow. You know, not, you already throw maybe 25, 30 pitches that inning. And Dunsing walks Brantley.
Well, they held Brantley to just 1 hit in the ball game, but he draws a walk here in the 9th. They had their hitting shoes on, and it started early. 5 hits, 4 runs in the first. 4 more hits, 3 more runs in the second. The Twins, to their credit, came back to make it interesting. Had the tying run on deck in the 6th inning. But then, when the Twins needed to score the next 3 runs, instead it was the Indians who scored the next 3. Ball 1.
Masterson ended up throwing 25 pitches in the 8th inning when he walked a batter and struck out 3.
Tapper to short. And they go to short way to end the inning. But 2 more runs for the Indians, and they've doubled up the Twins 12-6. Got lopsided early, and now towards the end it's lopsided again. 12-6. Indians hoping to reduce their magic number to 2.
Terry Francona throwing some more gum in that mouth.
Nathan got the save, his 42nd of the year. The Rangers 5-3, and they're going to need some help from the Twins. And the Twins have been unable to give them any help, at least last night. It would be an epic comeback if they were to be able to help them here tonight.
Yeah, Cleveland wins here tonight. Them and the Rays are tied, and then Texas one behind both of them. Matt Albers coming in. He worked the 8th inning of last night's ball game. 17 pitches, 8 for strikes with a walk and a strikeout, making his 56th relief appearance.
Strike one. Presley, Dozier, and Doman. Presley with a couple of hits, including a 2-run single in the 6th that got the Twins to within 3. 9-6. Bouncer to second. You know, one thing we've seen, the Indians swinging the bats well, but they're playing much better defense than they did earlier this year too. They had a series here middle of the season where it was hard to watch. They were kicking the ball all over the place, and it's not just the pitching and it's not just the hitting, but they appear to have a much better fielding club.
Vilas has kind of taken over at third. They had Lonnie Chisenhall over there. He was struggling a little bit.
There's Dozier looking for his first hit. Ball 1.
Pretty strong up the middle with Cabrera and Kipnis. Of course, Michael Bourne out in center field usually, but it's Stubbs here in the last couple games.
And a ball 2-0.
Albers 30 years old, his first season with the Indians. Last year started with the Red Sox, then traded over to the Diamondbacks.
Gotta believe Terry Francona has some idea as to who he wants to close games. And if that's the case, then I would think he would want to get him out there in a save situation before playoff time.
It might be Joe Smith. I mean, he came in last night, picked up his 3rd save. He may try Chris Perez one more time.
It sure doesn't sound like it. To Dozier.
One thing you can't be is that's afraid to fail, and it sounds like that's what Chris Perez said to him. That he is, you know, last couple outings. Well, it's not last. He's been struggling as of late.
Really going back to August. I mean, it's been a long drought, a long span of really poor pitching. 2 down. You look at Albers' numbers, and okay, well. Is he closer material? He's never saved a game in his professional career.
Right. He's more of a 6th, 7th, 8th inning guy.
Ryan Doman with a pair of singles. Twins have enough hits to win a ball game. For that matter, they've got enough runs to win a ball game. Giving up 12 here tonight. All the hits except for Floramone's home run are singles. 2 strikes. Hendricks faltering towards the end. Be his last outing of the year. Doman lifts one high and deep down the right field line and into the seats. The wind might have pushed that foul and back toward the infield.
Sure did. Ryan Doman, he's stuck on 99 career home runs.
He's blowing in from right field pretty good right now. I thought that ball had enough fair territory and enough distance to clear the wall. Another 2-strike pitch to Ryan Doman. In the dirt. Two and two.
Well, Albert's done a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. He's allowed only 2 home runs on the year in 62 innings coming into this appearance. His 56th. Good sinking fastball with a breaking ball.
There's a number. And Gomes fires. And Swisher makes the catch and gets out of the way. And with that nice play, dangerous play, the Indians reduce their magic number to 2.
Well, Gomes comes charging out right here, basically saying, Elbers, get out of the way. He barehands it, steals it from Elbers. Really the only one who had to play and made a nice play out of it.
And so the Indians have come to Minnesota, scored a lot of runs and won a couple of ball games. Tom Hanneman, the Twins will have to win the final 2 games this year if they're going to get Ron Gardenhire his 1,000th.
Dick, Cleveland builds an early 9-1 lead and then cruises closer to their first postseason party in 6 years. We'll talk about the extra effort, the extra base hits for the Indians. Liam Hendriks' role in relief tonight, and we'll hear from Ron Gardenhire. Later, we'll preview Game 3.